And
I'm with you.
Me
All right,
too.
so let me say good morning. I started the recording. Rabbi Brian says so right there. It's just about 8 o'clock here in Portland, Oregon, which is out there somewhere. This is the Religion Outside the Box weekly spiritual gathering. I'm joined by a bunch of people. Some people are watching this after the fact. Oh, I do want to do a special shout out to my friend Anne, who kind of double dog dared me to make a special shout out. They've been without internet for a while. So, hi, Anne. I'm following up on that. And anyone who's watching on Facebook or YouTube, you're welcome. And if you want to join the group who's here, we might be closing down the little clubhouse. We got to talk about that in a bit. Don't panic. Don't panic. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Jane. It's like Lurch from the Addams Family.
Hi, Jane.
Hand.
Good morning, Jane.
That was just Jane's hand. There goes Jane's hand. Bye, Jane's hand. And oh, it's good to be here. Good to be with you guys. This is a service. I'm going back to the word service, and I looked up the word service, and I can tell you there are a lot of definitions of the word service. One is to provide something that's needed and necessary, and I like that. Another is a set of dishes and silverware. And I thought, well, that's service for 50, but that's in a different sort of way than what we normally do. So this is a service, in that I think what is being provided is something that is of help. And that's really what the point of any spiritual religious group or gathering is to give some help. So I'm going to move my camera over so we can see all the little boxes as people turn their cameras on. Come on. There we go. Hi, people. Would you wave? And then we'll go off of this view. But there are people who are live. If you want to join the live group, if you go to rotb.org, you can sign up for the newsletter, which is free. And with that comes a link to this very service. And you guys are all welcome to be here. Hi, people. Hi, Ron and Rob and Jess and Gordon and Patty and Ray and Ann and Candace and another Candace and everyone else who is joining. And I saw Ezra. Oh, hi, Ezra. I hope you're feeling better, my friend. Glad that you're here. I'm going to go back to this camera. I have some follow-ups from last week that I'd like us to begin with, and I have a bunch of stuff for us to talk about. First, I want to begin with talking about the decision about the F-bomb, of whether, like, during this service. And I came to the decision, we talked about it last week, was it appropriate, inappropriate? Should anyone feel not censored, but limited in their language? And going back to what this service was founded to be, is there's a reason that I want this to be an open service where people should feel free to use the language that they want and to be able to say theologically or religiously whatever they want. And if you don't believe a certain, I don't believe God would do that, and you want to say, or I don't think the Bible is much more than the Bible is a great source of learning about a lot of things, but it's not a great source for finding out where humanity came from. You want to find out where humanity came from theologically, great, but so this is not a children's service. It's not a service that's geared for children, and in that way, everyone should feel free to use all the language that they like. But I am not going to be using the F-U-C-K word because I don't think I need to do so. So that was a follow-up on that. Another follow-up.
Can I do it?
Last week we talked about the no complaint challenge. How many of you
wants to do it?
Tried to complain less this last week, and how many of you just said F that?
Yeah.
So I had a really bad week. I had some really bad things happen last week, and I came to a realization, and I want to do a 180 on the no complaint challenge and say that's I found this one again. I don't know how many of you remember this. This was from a very, very long time ago, and the poetry room came out of this. Was we looked at the Serenity Prayer, and then we edited it and saw how could we change it. And Rob and Tom both helped us to we removed the word God from the Serenity Prayer. And the reason I brought this up is that we have the ability, we're adults, to adapt things that we don't like. And I thought about the no complaint challenge, and I thought, I want to adapt that because bad things happen. I had 2 really bad incidents that happened last week, and I wanted to talk to people about it. For one, a very dear the first kiddo that I mentored. I mean, they were 15 at the time. This was a long time ago. Her cancer's come back, and it's come back, and it seems to have spread. And I'm not going to not complain about that because I need comfort from my loved ones. I need comfort from people that, hey, how are you? I'm mixed. Well, what's going on? Got a loved one whose cancer's coming back. Is that a verbalized complaint? Yeah. But it's necessary. So I wanted to change the complaint thing, and I'll run this by you and see if we can do the complaint that looks more like this. Is that instead of doing a no complaint, can we try for minimizing gratuitous complaints?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's doable.
That's doable, right, Emily? To not complain at all, I mean, that's also doable, but it cuts us off from the support that we need from other human beings. I came to a definition of sadness that helped me in this, is that one of the reasons we are sad, this is going to sound a little bit odd, but one of the reasons we are sad is to draw the community to us. One of the reasons we are sad is because it signals to the people around us, whether they pick up on our cue or not, that's a different thing. But our sadness signals to other people that we need comfort. Go ahead, Eileen.
I don't think that it's, I think it's wet roads.
Wait, hold on. I'm having some audio issues going on. Say it again, Eileen.
I have a friend in whose parents live in Florida. She lives in New York, and I hadn't spoken to her in a while. And I called her, and she was telling me about her parents. Her father has dementia. She's really the caretaker from a distance, and she said, I don't really like to just complain to you. So I said, I asked you for an update.
Right.
So I said, and it just happens to be your story. You're not so happy with your story, but that's the story that you're living right now. And so I just didn't feel like it was complaining, but I think she's just burdened with it.
Right.
So she feels like sharing it is complaining, but I think we just have to reframe it and
right.
Change our word.
Let's go to Bob. Thank you, Eileen, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
That.
Yeah, I guess I would question whether or not knowing that somebody has cancer or something like that is really a complaint, because it can't be fixed, and nobody can do anything about that. And well, we have ways of talking about some things that concern us, that we are maybe looking for support in some cases.
That's what I'm saying.
We are looking for understanding. And so I don't know that we want to take the word complain and apply that to that universal.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Bob. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm going for. Go ahead, Jess.
I just wanted to bring it back to what you had given us previously of the observation and judgment puppets, and how there's a difference between observing and judging, just like there's a difference between sharing, what you're factually experiencing, what you're observing in your life, or what I may be observing in my life.
So that's this one. That's the observing, discerning one. This is what I notice. This thing
happened to me. Yeah. I burnt my finger when I was making dinner. Is an observation. The finger, a burn came to the finger, Whereas if I say, oh, my life is so terrible because of this blister on my finger, that to me is
Right. That adds in a judgment.
I'm very sad. That isn't how I feel. It's an observation. If I say, something about projecting out about my life because of my sadness, to me, that's where judgment and it maybe is a spectrum. I'm not sure, but that's where I feel like it is more of a complaint rather than sharing a factual observation. So I just wanted to thank you for that and bring it back around to the conversation.
Thank you, Jess. I'm going to bring in one more piece, and this fits in with something that Jordan had said last week. Oh, did Jordan beat me in chess this last week? No, we didn't play.
You're not allowed to do this anymore, Brian. You win too regularly.
Okay. Now, here's a quote that fits in with what you had talked about last week, Jordan, and what, Jess, you were just talking about. Is from Judith Krishnamurti. The ability to observe without evaluating is the highest form of judgment. So this is
intelligence.
Intelligence.
Not judgment.
Just checking, making sure. All right. I notice I made a mistake. That's a discernment.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Right?
That's a judgment.
Right? So it's discernment and judgment. And the goal is to separate these two out, to observe without evaluating. What we wind up is with these two guys really
Stuck together.
Thank you, Rob. This is a skill. This is a skill of noticing Rob spoke, noticing if you're thinking about whatever's happening is an observation or a judgment. And okay, I'm going to go back. I have so many things that we have today. So glad that you're here. Please hold. There we go. This was not on my list of things until last night. I'm not going to go there. Well,
be here
no,
now.
I'm going to. So listen. Maybe I'm just going to leave this open and not take too many comments and questions about it until next week. But there's something that's in my heart, and I think it fits in with the themes of what we talk about here. And I've gotten into an argument, and I'm thinking about discernment and judgment. And if a premise I hold dear, right, in what makes a spiritual religious life, one of which is the hierarchy of values. And if the value that I hold really strong is that each and every one of us gets to choose and determine for ourselves what it is we want, right? This idea of polydoxy, right? Dox being belief, poly meaning many, that you have as much of a right to figure out your belief system as I have for mine, keeping, of course, the rules of community that we have to live together and we have to give up certain freedoms in order to exist as a community, sometimes censoring our language, sometimes other things. And I have this thing that hit me last week is I got into an argument with someone over their use of drugs. And I realized that my judgment, I was putting my judgment over their self-determination.
Okay.
And it's sticking hard with me because I got to live by principles and values. And I have someone who I care about who said, hey, Brian, that's nice, but it's my life and I like the way the drugs make me feel.
Are they in a position to make a choice?
That's a great question, Carol. At this moment now, when they're telling me this, they were stone cold sober,
Mm.
not happy about it. They were not filled.
The other thing, I mean, I had this years and years ago when I taught ethics at Simmons.
Yeah.
And we tried to talk about whether what you do to your own life doesn't affect other people.
Please keep talking.
And
That's
can there be a personal ethic if you're living with other people and you're trying to, and you can't just decide, I'm going to take drugs because it makes me feel good without thinking about what is it doing to the society? What is it doing
Right,
to
when
me?
they're saying fuck this shit. Oh, there I am with my language. I apologize. But they're saying, I don't care about you and your ninny problems. I'm putting me first.
But you're not.
No.
How are they
It-
not putting themselves first? It's a
Because
selfish
the
decision.
drugs change the way they see and think. That's why they're taking it.
That is why they're taking it, because they don't like the way they see and feel without them.
Well,
And then they're going to be dependent, and then they're going to be more dependent because they're not going to get the same high on the same dose.
Correct.
The other thing.
right.
And
Right.
and they are frying their brain. I know
Right.
that because every time
That is their-
I interact with them, their cognitive ability has deteriorated in the spell between sobriety.
Yes.
Okay. Let me
Well,
interject
hold on,
here. Yes,
Shmuley, hold on, Shmuley, hold on one second. Hold on,
Okay.
I want to finish up with Carol.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't, I don't have a superhero cape. I can't control
No.
them. I can't make them. I can.
You can pray for them.
Mhm.
And you can tell them that you're praying for them because you think that God is stronger than any drug they can take.
I like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I know this could open up a whole discussion, and I'm gonna, Shmuley, I'm gonna shoot you down, and Ron, I know you have your hand up. Alex, you have your hand up. I thank you all. I don't want to open this to a full discussion right now. I'm giving Carol special. She used to be my teacher privilege. I can't. I'm all triggered up right now, and I'm not in a place to
No.
to do a thing.
No. Okay.
I tell you a quick little. I'm going to tell you an anecdote as kind of a methadone to my right now. So I'm teaching high school, and it's about 4 years old, 5 years old, and I say to my students, I say I have this ethical problem because I'm me. I'm just going to share with them. I said, Emmett wants the pink and sparkly shoes, the Skechers pink and sparkly whatever shoes, and I'm feeling uncomfortable, and I know I shouldn't feel uncomfortable. Like he should be able to he should wear whatever he wants, but I'm feeling uncomfortable about it. And we had a discussion, and the kids all came to, really, your child, anyone should be able to wear whatever it is they want to wear. It's not hurting anyone else. And a few weeks later, Emmett had to come into the school with me, and he's wearing the pink sparkly shoes. And the kids said, "We thought you were just making that up." I'm not accusing any of you of thinking that I was making up that story. But as I said, I just told the story to bring myself back down. Okay.
Rabbi, I am going to say one thing right now, though.
Go ahead, Kip.
Thank you very much for bringing that to this group and sharing that vulnerable thing. It means a lot. And I hope you can feel the love and support that we have for you and for this really hard thing to manage.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, support to you.
Yeah.
Love to you,
Amen.
I feel the support, but it's even better. It's like actually tasting the food. It's like I was enjoying it, and then you reminded me to actually savor it. So thank you. I'm going to take that moment and look at all y'all's faces. And Yeah.
Shrug your shoulders.
Why am I shrugging my shoulders, Emily?
Just to loosen up.
Okay.
Yeah, loosen up. And I after working with as an addiction counselor for 21 years, I agree with what Carol said. Just right now, what you need is our support.
I'm taking it.
That's it. That's it.
And to tie it back, and then I'm going to move us forward, is I'm not considering. Last week, I would have held a harder line on complaints, but this this was one of the two things that happened to me in the last week. Made me realize that the no complaint challenge, I think that's just a dumb idea. So whatever I said last week about try for a no complaint challenge, let's not do that. I wanted to go back to a different topic. We had been talking for a little while about anti-racism. If anybody is a teacher, this is a great book about how to learning and teach while white. And then I just purchased this book. It's on a very easy reading level. Rise Up by Crystal Fleming. And I'm going to share, please get yourself into this anti-racist mindset. I took, we went to see To Kill a Mockingbird yesterday. The touring Aaron Sorkin's production was here. And I had said after seeing it that I was this close to writing a letter of complaint, and I realized that wasn't close enough. So I'm writing a letter of complaint because the book has been banned. It's one of the most banned books in America. And the expletive reason that it is banned, the stated reason it's banned, is because it uses offensive language, right? The N-word is used in the book. Right. And the people who disagree with the premise of the book, which is trying to further a anti-racist cause, say, well, we can't have our children reading things with that word in it. So they ban it on the use of that word. And I was so, and I guess I'm soapboxing here, but hey, I'm Rabbi, I'm allowed. They made no mention of it in the play. There was nothing in the program that said, we've talked about this. There's no delicate way of dealing with this. We made a decision to leave the language as it is in the play because it underscores. They made no mention at all. And it brought me back to what we had talked about here 2, 3, 4 weeks ago about saying, what is the cost of not calling out racism? And we started with, what is the cost of calling out racism? When you say to a racist uncle, hey, you know what you just said strikes me as a little racist. I'm sorry, I said racist uncle as though that's all the uncle is. That's not all the uncle is. But to say to someone who says something racist, hey, you might have just gone a little racist there, that we talked about that there's a cost to you for doing so. But isn't there a larger cost for not doing so? And so when I heard myself say I'm this close to writing a letter, I thought, that's not close enough, Brian. And so I'm writing letters. I'm not exactly certain to whom yet, but I will figure that out. Please get more involved. And that's an unfortunate thing, because it doesn't matter how involved you are, you got to get more involved. And that's not an excuse to say you shouldn't get more involved.
Did they use the N-word in the play?
In the play, the N-word is used. I mean, that's.
So they followed what the book said.
They followed what the book said, but there was nothing in it that said, like Disney has put, if you go to watch Dumbo on Disney TV, there's a big disclaimer that says, we have chosen to leave this movie as it was originally shown. There's language and imagery that is no longer considered correct. We deplore the image. Disney knows how to do that, right? It seems surprising to me that the Keller Auditorium here in Portland and Aaron Sorkin, the producer of the play, didn't consider saying something. I can't imagine. The thing's been running for long enough. I mean, do I go down with a placard? Maybe. Not really sure what the placard says yet. Anyone want to meet me down there tonight, 7:30? Okay.
Of a good placard.
Okay. Let me take us on a. I'm gonna change focuses for a moment. Emily, I'm gonna do a shoulder shrug, move things along a little bit. Okay. Everyone else. It's like jazzercise religious services. It's a bad idea. Might be a good idea. Oh, I like that one. Ray's doing cross lateral. Do you guys know that one actually helps reset your brain more than it. If you put something from your right side on your left hemisphere and something from your left side on your right side, it does a thing. It just does
I just do it because it relieves the pain in my shoulder.
Well, we're following you, Ray. Joe, our dear friend Joe, who is here this week, she just lost her godfather. And we're going to have our prayer moment, our minute of prayer as we normally do. But before we do that, Joe, you brought a candle to light. And if you would light a candle for your Uncle Joe and tell us a memory, a story, give us a sentence or so about who this dear man was to you.
He was cool. That's what he was. He was cool. He knew how to make his own path gently. His name was John, and he said, "No, I prefer Jack." So he was called Jack. My grandma wanted him to go to college. He said, "No, I want to be a Marine. I like Marines." So he went to the Marines. He got back from the Marines. My grandma said, "You know, corporate work's good. You'll make good money." He said, No, I like to work with my hands. I'm going to build houses. And the very last thing he did in a very gentle way was about 20 years ago. He said, "You know, I don't agree with the Catholic Church anymore. I'm done." And his memorial service is actually today, and he will be gently and endearingly and lovingly the very first Applebaum to ever not have a Roman Catholic Mass today for his funeral practice and ritual. And so he taught me that I can make my own path. I don't have to be angry about it. I don't have to blame. I can simply make my choices, and I can do it gently and kindly.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for sharing your godfather with us. And if you would share with us the names other people have put in, that people for whom we want to say some prayers and have some extra thoughts and attention to today.
So the list today is Joe, Christine, Aunt Kathy, Lindsay, Mallory, Jack, Larry, Leo M., Abbess, April, Rita S., Aunt Irene and family, Doug, Moishe Ben Leah, and anyone else that needs to add their name in the chat, I will add that to the list as well.
And let's take a minute of quiet starting here at 10 seconds. Thank you all. I'm going to start our next little section to talk about with a joke. And it's a joke about Unitarian Universalists. And it's deserved. I have a Catholic version of the same joke and a Jewish version of the same joke. Depending on where I'm going to speak, I pull out the different versions of the joke. But the way I originally heard the joke was the Unitarians come to the sign in the road. It says, "This way to heaven." And the other sign says, "This way to a discussion about heaven." And that's what I want us to talk about today.
Mm.
I want us to, oh, hell, I'm just going to give you the Catholic version says, "This way to heaven." And then there's another sign that says, "We already told you." And finally, I wrote the Catholic and the Jewish versions of the joke, so please enjoy those a little bit more. Jewish version of the joke goes like this. This way to heaven, this way to a discussion on heaven. And the Jew looks and says, "Who put up those signs?" I want to do something today which is not discussing heaven at all. Last week we looked at qualities of, I'm going to try to get rid of that quote in a second. Last week we looked at qualities of a mystical experience. We've talked about different parts of a spiritual religious life, aspects of it. But I want us to talk today about the goal and how we, so far, what we know of how to get there. So let me start with that, the goal. What is this thing we're trying to realize? This thing that we're going for? We want to have more of in our life. We want to have, well, you tell me.
Love.
Take a moment. Yeah, that's a good, easy one. Love. What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it? It doesn't matter. Okay, I got one other joke that fits in that, and then I'll get back to this seriously. What do we want? Airplane noises. When do we want them? Now. Hey, you can go to other services. You know, like, we want love. What else do we want? What are the goals? What are the goals of this spiritual life? What is this heaven that we're looking for?
Peace.
Peace with connection.
Yep, peace.
Peace. I heard connection.
Self-actualization.
What does that mean?
Getting to be one's best version, becoming more closely one's best version of oneself.
And how would I know I got any of these? How do I know I got more love in my life?
You feel it.
You feel it. How do I know I got more peace in my life?
You're calmer. You're more centered.
How do I know I got more connection?
You feel it.
You feel it.
Yeah.
You're busier.
Or maybe not busier.
You feel other people's loves and understanding towards you.
That's right. Yeah.
Do we notice a theme happening here? Okay, folks. Here comes the big sermon. What's stopping you?
Fear.
Ourselves.
Conditioning?
Losing my present connections.
Yeah. Okay, this is where I want to go. Thanks, Schmuels.
Yeah.
I love that I get a cheer just for drawing that. That's fantastic. This is one of my favorite tools. It's a tool by Eli Goldratt, and it's a change matrix. And he says, here's change, here's not changing. Here's benefits, here's detriments. And for every decision we make, and we've talked about this in the past, and if you like, maybe I'll throw in we've talked, we've built it from the ground up, but I'll just go over this quadrant, our current negatives. If we don't change the negatives that we have, what are the current negatives that we have that we're trying to get away from?
Feeling.
We're trying to get away from feeling? I don't think, no.
I'm sorry. Wrong box. Sorry.
Okay. What are we trying to get away from?
Not changing. Wait a minute.
Fear.
The absence of those qualities. It's no love. It's no connection.
Fear. Disconnection.
Sadness.
Isolation.
Isolation, I'm going to stick with disconnected. Yeah.
Okay.
Staying in our heads all the time.
Caught up in the tension of being hung on to the outcomes.
Yeah.
Still getting it your way, or you get to say it's your way or something.
Right, yeah.
That the outside world has undue influence on us.
Right.
Outside world is no longer suggesting how we feel, but it's dictating how we feel.
Mm-hmm. You're alone in that space.
Yeah, alone, disconnected, isolated. Let's talk about, so up here I got goals of love, peace,
Fear, just an outside world.
Connection, if I were to get these things, I think I heard it already, is we might lose our current friendship.
Mm-hmm.
What else might we imagine were we to go this way to heaven, this way to a discussion on heaven, and all our friends are going discussion, and we're like, no, I'm doing this right here. Let's go.
It's one of the chief tools of cults, keeping their members in place.
Come back next week. Okay. Explain a little bit more, Ron. Oh, keeping people that... No, I'm not understanding, Ron. Help me.
I have a friend who was my star student when I taught at the University of Zimbabwe, and I sponsored him over to work on his doctorate. And he was a Jehovah's Witness. Mm-hmm. And everything rationally about him that he could think went against the whole concept of the Jehovah's Witness. But that was how he was raised. That was his family. That was, and he eventually did leave, and he lost everything.
Yeah.
Community.
Yeah, and I would say that's an easy example, Ron. Not to diminish it, but it's easy to see with them what they have to lose. But how about you? If you were to pick up and start having more compassion in your life on a daily basis, it's going to have some negative side effects.
Mm-hmm.
I would be ashamed, and I would feel very bad about myself.
Isn't
You're
that
vulnerable?
ironic?
You might get hurt.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. I want to respect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And you might not. And Jordan, you added in hurt. Say a little more.
Yeah. But if you open yourself up to feel more, then, more love is also the possibility of more despair.
Everybody.
That callousness that protects me.
Yeah. I'm going to put that down here. This was our mermaid. What we might lose is our callus. Mm-hmm. Calluses develop to keep us from having like the blisters, the calluses, they're there to protect us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else is a current? I'm going to add this one. If I decide to go towards the heart, I'm going to have to lose my judge pants. Jane described it once as our judgments about other people is like a warm, oozy pudding. I don't think she said the pudding part. I think I just added that. But there's something warm and oozy about being judgmental.
Yeah.
Because I'm right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead.
No. When you have your judgments, you feel that you have everything under control, that you know it all.
Right.
When you first poop your pants, it's warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. I love that example, Ron. I had that with Annie when I was tickling her at a doctor's office once. Well, the doctor was out and she peed on me. And my first thought was, oh my God, that's disgusting. And then I thought, no, it's not actually. It's actually kind of warm. It kind of feels nice at this moment. Where does this one go?
Control.
Everywhere.
If I'm up here and I surrender, that's a hard word, right? We have all of these like psychic blocks. The word surrender shouldn't be a bad thing. But if we surrender control, I mean, that's the basis of 12 steps, right? It's the basis of religion, is giving up some of my autonomy, myself, and saying, universe, where's my card? Here. For years, I would say, do this, give me that. When I reached the shores of wisdom, I said, God, be mine and do what you want. I'm going to do a little preachy thing here. So everybody sit comfy. I should have queued up the video, but I don't have it here. How many of you are familiar with the video, the gorilla in the basketball court? Yeah. So there's this bizarre thing that they have two basketball teams, one in black, one in white. And they ask people to watch a video of the two teams, and the two teams are just passing a ball back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And they say, count how many times you see the players in the white team pass the ball. Every time the ball leaves one person's hand, goes to another person's hand, count that as one. And how many times, and there's the other team too, but don't watch them, just watch the one team. And when you just watch the one team passing the ball, I don't know, 90-something% of people all get the same exact answer. And when you ask them to count the other team, how many times they pass the ball, it's the same exact number of people who get the right answer. It's in the high 90s. Almost everyone gets the same number of passes. But the most amazing thing about the video is that halfway in the 2-minute video of them passing ball, a person in a gorilla suit walks mid-frame, bounds on their chest, and then walks off. 95% of people don't see the gorilla. I had a plan, but I didn't do it right, which was I was going to keep drinking and drinking from the same cup, and then I was going to have a different colored cup and see how many of you would have noticed, and the answer would have been none, because you're just simply not paying attention to that. I did this with my students. I had them watch the gorilla in the basketball thing, and I stood in the back of the classroom, and I changed my tie. There was always a student who noticed, because I had students with ADD, and they don't just watch the screen when you want them to just watch the screen. Those kids are hard to fool. what's my point? I'll tell you. What if the universe is calling you right now this way to heaven? But we're so busy. Who put up those signs? Oh, there's a discussion about that. I don't want to, maybe the Catholics were right. It is that way. There's nothing. Folks, it's going to sound preachy, but hey, I'm a preacher. This is the idea of having a spiritual rebirth. And we need to have them from time to time. And I'm suggesting today is a really good day for it. Let's remember that we're okay. That this is heaven. Is it got some real bad parts to it? Are there some things that we still need to fix and change? Yeah. But we can also still live in a beautiful world and experience it. And here's going to be my question for you. What's one practice that you currently do that helps you to remember, oh yeah, right here, right now? What's one of your tricks and tips that you have that reminds you, oh yeah, this way, I'm doing it, that you can share? So take a moment to think. If I had asked the easier question, what's one thing you can do to keep yourself from noticing, that we would all be able to do really easily. What's one thing you can do? Give me one sentence. One sentence answers. What's one thing that you do that helps you to
stay present? Stay present.
Stay present. Go ahead, Carol. I'll take hands up. Those are helpful. You're muted, Carol. You're muted, my friend. Try it again. No, you're still muted. There you are.
I write down 20 blessings every night of things that happen during the day, and that makes me really pay attention to things that I would otherwise perhaps take for granted. And knowing that I'm going to do it, and I've been doing it since 1992, really makes me very awake.
Right? Because then during the day you go, well, I don't want to have to get to bedtime and then I have to work on remembering. I'm going to remember the things now.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going back to that. I used to do a 5 gratitude thing at night, and I have slipped since 1992.
5 is too easy. The very fact is you can open your eyes. The very fact that you can hold the pen or go to the computer.
I love you for pushing me. I'm starting with 5. Everyone else, you all have to do 20. I have special dispensation. Go ahead, Ray. What's one thing that you do that helps?
Well, realizing that with everything that may be going on in my life, that I am truly blessed because there are those who have so much less.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
Amen. And I'm going to add in a little quote that my students taught me. It was, there are some people who are so poor, all they have is money.
Mm-hmm. Good. Amen. That's very good.
Rob, then Jess, then Ron.
So what I think is that we need to be present.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that being present means that we are present.
Yeah. And
that's what we give to others.
Amen.
And they are a gift to us. So we're all presents.
And being present is as simple sometimes as going, oh, where are my feet? Set an alarm on your phone. Go off once an hour. Where are my feet? Go ahead, Jess, then Ron.
Just with what you were saying, and to go back to what Emily was sharing with us earlier about, for me, it's pretty much always getting back into my body. I do like tapping or little, check in. Where do I feel sore? like stretch. What you were saying about this one across the hemispheres.
Yeah.
I definitely will take a chance to just check, and can I cross my hemispheres or engage my body in that moment when my mind starts to get out into not in the moment. That if I check in with my body, like you're saying your feet, or Emily was saying about shrugging the shoulders, it really helps me come back to, actually, this is where I am right now.
Amen. Thank you. Ron.
I guess it comes back to the roots of mysticism, of being able of, even though I'm a usually fairly rational person, of being able to look to my intuition as much as possible and hear the still small voice.
Amen.
What should I do?
Amen.
Yeah. Anne, and then I'm going to move us along.
Yeah, I've said this before, the meditation with you every day, for me, it's at 5 o'clock for just 20 minutes. It creates a space, makes me look at myself, look at my own thoughts and evaluate, and takes me out of all the things that are distracting me.
Yeah. Thank you, Anne. And folks, I can't think of an easier on-ramp to meditation than joining me on Facebook or YouTube, where if you stop 5 minutes in, nobody knows. Like, it is completely judgment-free. The only one on screen is this guy. And it's kind of fun. There's a little banter at the 2 minutes before we start. Mainly just me talking to myself. Banter.
I have a question.
Yes, Betsy.
A Zoom link that we should know about?
Oh, for the meditation? No, it's not on Zoom because I don't want people to have to be seen. So if you go to Facebook and you find this guy, it will show up, or on YouTube. Or if you go to rotb.org and you scroll down, the website will be being redone shortly. Thank you to my lovely friends who suggested, and they know why. If you scroll down, there's a live link always at ROTB. So anything that I'm broadcasting gets broadcast to rotb.org.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And some announcements. My first most important announcement is this one. Hey, are you having a hard time? Yeah, you are? That's okay. Life ain't easy. It's okay to not be okay. To judge yourself for not being okay is an extra ass kicking you don't need, especially right now. Okay. Other announcements. Stick around for a second hour. I want to thank the people who help with Ron and where's Joe and Maria and Alex and Al and did I mention Kip? No, and Kip. Always the problem of mentioning people is like, then who did you forget to mention? So thank you for the people who help out with after the second hour service and who helped me to plan this service. There's a new committee forming at Religion Outside the Box called the Sustainability Committee. I don't know if we decided on it. It's a sustainability group. You will be hearing more about that. If you want to help to keep what programming Religion Outside the Box is doing vibrant and going, please send me an email, shoot me a text. We could use some good able-bodied people, able-minded people to help with sustainability. Other announcements. Go ahead. What do you got?
12-step group on Mondays. Email me for the link. I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay. Other announcements? Anybody just have a grandchild, or I don't know what other announcements you might have?
I'm about to retire next year, February.
Okay.
Oh, congratulations.
That's fantastic. Yeah. We're going to put you on the sustainability committee. You're going to have extra time.
Okay.
Also, thank you to Jess and to Ann who keep the clubhouse rolling along. I forgot who we're spotlighting somebody. Can't
Christina
remember.
this week.
Christina's up this week, and that changes on Thursday. We got more people. If you have not been spotlit in the clubhouse, please volunteer so we don't have to come fishing for you. Would love so people get to know a little bit more about each other, get to know nicknames and where you grew up and things like that. Could use that help. Yeah, that is gonna. I have blah blah blah. I am going to do a send off thought like this. There's a quote from Buddha. I don't know if it's a real Buddha quote or it's one of those fake Buddha quotes. I didn't look. But the quote says, I think this one's a real one. It says, all beings are already enlightened. It is just their delusion that they don't see it.
Yes.
Jesus was asked similarly, I think it's Gospel of Thomas, where is the true heaven? And the answer was that it's before your eyes. You just don't see it. And I'm not accusing one of the two of these people of plagiarizing the other. It's just a similar idea.
Mm-hmm.
This is the wonder of life. The wonder is right there. If we stop looking at the signs that say this way to a discussion. Kip, you got your hand up.
I just wanted to circle back around to something you and I talked about a little bit before that may have gotten missed here.
Help me out.
And that's the role of conditioning. You mentioned conditioning.
Yeah, I have a whole stack of indoctrination and conditioning. Go ahead, help me out.
Well, I just want to make sure that there's not a touch of shame that anyone might be feeling. Walking up to the road sign and even stopping to think about which one they want to go on to. We're conditioned not to just go down that road immediately. And it's a hard fight to overcome that conditioning. That's not something easy. That's not something I would not want anyone to go away thinking that you're suggesting it's just a simple choice. It's a lifelong set of work to develop the practices and the beliefs and break the behavioral conditioning and the cognitive conditioning that we've all had to sit and wonder about the sign. It's hard.
Hallelujah.
It is just a choice, but it's a really, really, really hard choice.
Can we get a whole hallelujah chorus on what Kip just said?
Hallelujah.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, Kip, for preaching that hard.
There's a wonderful book you should all read called This Life. It's written by a professor at Yale, and it says this is it. And you've got to know how to look at it and accept it, and that when you in fact focus on an afterlife, you withdraw some of your commitment from this life.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Folks, this has been one of my favorite of our gatherings. And I'm just going to float with that for a bit. And then later I'll panic into like, what do I do next week? But I'm going to give myself a solid 5 minutes of enjoying it. Thank you guys for all being here. Bring a friend, would you? I know it's a weird thing to say, hey, I'm going to a religious gathering. Call it what it's. Bring some people along. If you find this is meaningful, let's help some other people too. I'm going to wrap up our recording. Hold on. Oh, no. There it is. Okay, let me have everyone wave goodbye to the people watching at home. Bye, people.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.